As an immigrant, I got a job here and I came with that job. If you ask me, literally we started with zero at the age of 28. It took some time for me to get here. There's a lot of sacrifice. I never go for a lot of vacations. My friends used to go for gala vacation, a lot of Instagram pictures, a lot of this thing, a lot of that thing. All these things for the last 10 years, my wife and myself sat together and we made a sort of conscious decision not to go on vacations, not to splurge. All these things came now. These conscious decisions that we made is now we are in a situation now. We can go ahead and if we go for any vacation, no problem. Let's have a Starbucks coffee. Nothing is going to happen. For anyone, everyone, right? Failure is the first stepping stone. They had to taste that. There are books which I read which said dividends are for retirement. When you go through that retirement side, you need to buy it. But then at the same time, I took just a step back and said why not we split this? We can go for growth, also for dividends. There's nothing wrong in going in any direction. As long as you're not losing money, like Warren Buffett says, don't lose money. That's your goal. So okay, these are the companies which are never going to die and you're going to buy it. And if you're not going to buy it, you're going to die. Simple.
Investors, welcome back to another go-round of Masters of the Market. This week, I have Vinanth Ganapathy with me, who is fully invested into a mixed bag with growth stocks, dividend stocks, and even investments outside of the stock market, all totaling up to a net worth of over $1 million. And here to share his entire story with us and how he amassed this fortune is Vinanth himself. So first and foremost, Vinanth, thank you so much for joining me on Masters of the Market. Certainly an honor. I want to kick the first question right over to you and just ask you, how in the world did you get to where you are today?
If you ask me, my past experience has played an important role in what I am today. Because when I am growing up, right, it was a very hard time. Meaning my dad was growing business at that time. He was on a first businessman in his entire family, in his entire generation. So he was setting up business, buying land. In India at that time, the stock market is not that big at all. So it was mostly of hard properties like buying land, building warehouses, and building a rice yard or something like that, and then growing up like that. But the environment at that time is so hard that I remember my dad used to buy loans, smaller loans, but still the interest rate was like 15 to 17%, which is humongous, even by the standards of what is it now. Every month my dad suffers, paying those loans. He has to see where I can do the savings, where I can. But one thing he always did is that from my past is we always sit together for having our dinner or some at least 2 course in a meal. We'll all sit together. So during that time, he will share all these experience to us. So there is time where we have to save a lot, where we cannot buy a cloth or a new dress for some festivals. Okay, that's how the life as it grown up. But it took about my entire childhood was not my entire childhood, but there was no he never did something like scarcity on food or something. He took care of us. He made sure that I get educated. He made sure that every essentials that as a child need is all fulfilled. But at the same time, he also made sure that he showed the world how tough it is and how tough our family moved. And that 10 years or 15 years of hard work, he's now independent. He's having his own portfolio. He never asks anything. So that is what, right? He gave me a full education till my college. Never, he took care of my loan. Although I helped him a little bit, but he took care of the loan. And I did my master's in UK, which he also took the loan. He helped me out. He also paid some of the loans. And then he encouraged me to come here. So yeah, that's the past. The past that we lived was brutal. And that's what helped me when I came here. Things of what I see here, the abundance of US is still, because I'm shielded outside of all these things. I was able to do all the portfolio that currently I have. So that is the experience. And I also if one of them is not having this kind of experience, I would ask them to go and do donations, go and see orphanages, go and see things like that. So you will understand how fortunate you are. That's how I do. So because of the past is where I'm.
Vinanth, I want to ask you this question. And I usually ask it a little later on in these chats, but I figured this is a good time to ask. When it comes to actually building like this overall investment character of someone who really has deep appreciation and that hard work ethic, is that something that can be built, or is that something that's just through experience that like you really have to experience life in and of itself to get what you have?
It all depends on you training your mind. Okay. Because nature gave me this kind of experience, I'm in this situation, but it doesn't have to give someone, an experience like that. It's at the time of, we getting a salary. If we sit for 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, when we get a salary, when we sit for 2 minutes and see mindfully, like, how are we going to spend this? And that gives you everything. If one that doesn't have this kind of experience, just 2 minutes after you get a salary, look at the salary, just 2 minutes. If you see how fortunate we are, what we can do with this, you will automatically come to a place where your mindset will adjust to doing a budgeting, seeing that, we don't want to. There are mistakes, it can happen. There are slip ups, it can happen. But if you just give that 2 minutes time, I think everyone can come to that framework. So it's just that mindset. For me, naturally, it came with my past experience. But for others, if it is so, they can take this approach.
Why do you think so many people don't take that approach?
It's dopamine, instinct, and not, looking into numbers carefully. So it's just that they don't, when they get the salary, they don't even go and log into their account, salary account, and see what is the salary. They immediately have their card, and that is the only reasons. And it's just that at the end of the month, you go log into the credit card. What don't you do in the beginning of the month? Go and log into your bank account. Simple strategy. Anyway, you're going to log in. You just do that login in the beginning, not at the end. So if you do that, automatically, you're going to get it. It's just dopamine. It's just abundance that you see, as I see, right, past experience and everything. I've never seen a restaurant that is back in India, like 20 years before. Everywhere you go, food, everywhere you go, things are like how the entire system is configured in such a way that how I can take your money out of your pocket in systemic way that you may not even know. So that's how it is set up. If you want to come out of it, just the simple steps will help you.
I often always say that a lot of people are living unintentionally. And like you said, like you get that paycheck, you don't even look. A lot of us don't even look. We just spend right off the way because we know it's there. We know we had some money come in and then it's gone. I want to ask you, what are the steps before we get into your portfolio and investing talk? What are the crucial steps that investors should be taking before they even get started investing?
Crucial steps are like, take a deep breath, never go and fully head on with the investment. Okay. Read some books. For example, The Psychology of Money. I'm sure you might have known that popular book. I read that book, and the other is the Atomic Habits. So things of these books, I read it, and I'm an ardent reading of books like Intelligent Investors, things like that. So slowly, right, I didn't head on to investment as fast as others have gone into because of how my past experiences. So I was slowly building up. I had my own failures. For example, the first time I invested was the FOMO, when the oil market crashed, when you had that oil market crash, right? So I thought like, okay, it'll not be crashing this long period. My first investment, okay, I see an opportunity, let me go ahead and invest. And I invested in things like Transoceans, which are pretty good $1 billion companies, but still, it was so long, and I lost my money. I lost about $5,000. But for everyone, right, failure is the first stepping stone. They had to taste that. If they taste it, if they read all these books, and first thing is you will fail, and then you will go ahead and read why we failed. Then you will go ahead, find all these kinds of different books on the on the things. Then you will know, okay, this is not how it should be, and then you will take the first stepping stone of how to be a safe investor.
Just get the books, start reading, start learning. It's funny because I've had the privilege now of having so many masters of the market on with me. And a lot of them always talk about the necessity of failure to actually get going, like get skin in the game, try your odds at what's going on out there so you can at least get to know yourself as an investor. What type of investor would you classify yourself as these days?
I would say moderately aggressive. That's how I'll classify myself because of my age, and that's what it comes with the book, reading books and reading all these things. At this age, do I have to be everything dividend, everything dividend? There are books which I read which said like, dividends are for retirement. When you go through that retirement side, you need to buy it. But then at the same times, I also see that there are dividend investors like you, dividenology, a lot of YouTubers, they're out there who talks about dividend also. So that's when I took just a step back and said like, why not we split this? We can go for growth also for dividend. So let's take that approach and see. Nothing is going to fail in that approach. The portfolio, if you see over the age, it's going to grow. It's all about what is your risk management at what age. If you know that, then you can make a division between how much portfolio you need for dividend and how much you need for growth.
When you moved to the States, did your whole family move to the States, or was it just you? What was the story like of immigrating to the United States?
That was very fun. 2013, I believe, I came in 2013. I got married to a, Indian in US. So she's a US citizen, my wife. And, that time, that's it. My dad is like, okay, you got married. What is your decision? You want to stay in India or you want to go in US? I also got a job opportunity here as well. So then I was like, okay, I did my bachelor's, I did my master's, I'm an MBA holder, I did in UK. Everything is good, but let me at least put my educations to a good use. Back in India, the opportunities and for the amount of work that you do, the pay you get is like, nothing. So it was, but now it's a different stage. But at that time, so I was like, why not take a chance? Go. And my dad is like, okay, you go. That's it. So guy who got a ticket came in, married US citizen. She is back here a month after that. And then after a month, I came here and we both together, she was working, but not at that time, it was about 30 to 40K salary or something. So, and I came in with the H1B visa for work visa. And, I came with a job. I got a job here and I came with that job and we started together. Zero, zero. And we found an apartment. Yes, of course, my wife's father-in-law helped it a little bit here and there. Thankful for that. But, if you ask me, literally we started with zero at the age of 28, 2013. That's how we started. That's the
Wow.
journey. That's the journey we came in. And we started with zero and now we are here.
What I take from that is zero excuses. To all investors out there, zero excuses, because I mean, at 28 years old, you move to the States. Yes, you get married, but you're starting with your partner from ground zero with nothing, and you're there to build. Now, how old are you now?
I'm, almost 39, 38 to 39.
Okay. And your net worth right now, as of this video, if you were to ballpark it, where are you sitting? Okay.
1.5. Sorry, 1.5.
1.5 million. And I want to go back to sharing that, like, zero excuses, because that is an incredible journey. Vinod, I want to ask you to break down your portfolio, your investments. What does that investment portfolio look like? What are the investments outside of the stock market? How did you amass this 1.5 million?
As I said, right, from my previous experience, if you ask me, I didn't go into market immediately. So as I came to US, right, I started paying rent. I didn't like it because I didn't like paying rent. Yes, of course, the payment at that time was only $700, but now it is extraordinary. But at that time, $700, I was like, I'm actually giving this money for free for someone else. Even though I'm staying as on the rent, I'm like, I don't like it. So in a year, me and my wife said like, let's start building some first payment, like the down payment. My wife and my father-in-law was surprised because in a year I said like, I'm going to buy a home. I mean, no Indian immigrant and on a H1B visa will ever dare to get, there are some people who will dare it, but most of the people, like 95% will never dare to get a home immediately in a year with visa status. Okay. but I kind of know my risk because my wife is a citizen here. I don't have any problem. So I know that. And I was like, let's take the risk. Within a year, I went and bought because I know I finished my MBA. When I finished my MBA, that's when the recession started, 2007, 2008. I finished my MBA. And I know that because of that, the home prices have not gone up a lot. And 2014, 2013 itself, I booked for my home. That's right in the middle of after 6 months, I come into US and I bought the home. In 2017 itself, I 17 or 18 itself, I got cash, just cash alone to finish off my entire home. And I was like paying my home mortgage 10K, 20K, 30K here and there, whatever is possible. I was not in stock. Okay. So I was like, okay, I read mortgage to 15 years. And after 15 years, it was around 150K or so. So I was like having a cash for 150K in 2017. That's when my wife came and said, it's a very small, interest rate is low. Why you have to, do it? Why you have to finish off the mortgage? Then that's when I was like, okay, what is your thinking? Why not we buy a rental home? Then we'll buy a rental home. And, that's when what I thought is like, okay, we have 150K. Let's divide this into three. I'll put 50K into my home mortgage and then 50K into buying a rental home, 50K or 70K into the rental home, and then remaining 50K, let me put it into investment. Okay. But during this time itself, 2019 itself, 2015 itself, I went and put 10K in the investment. That's where I had the failures and strategies like, go and put it in the oil market and a lot of failures and blah, blah, blah. I learned it. But then and at the 2019, when I allocated that 50K, first 50K, and I was like, okay, let's put it into the stock market. So we divided it. We bought a rental home. I reduced my home mortgage by 50K, which was around 175K at that time. And then I put 50K onto investment. That's where my journey started. But by 2019, I had a rental home. That time is where the COVID came in 2020. It came 2019. I bought, so I bought it for 260K. Just you will not be able to find kind of rental home price now.
More.
Exactly. So I bought that, and within 2020, 2021, I finished off my home mortgage, and I put in another 10 or 20, 100K into stock market. So by now to 2024, this is how it got split. So my mortgage is done, and my current home value is around 700K, and my rental is around 400K, 450K. In that, I have around one. Even that loan I reduced it a lot. So 150K is the only loan I have, and then stocks. So 650K on a residential building with no mortgage, and then rental property around 275K, and then stocks around 430K I have. That includes 401K, HSA, Roth, general, everything. You can take all kinds of instrument. And I have a cash of about, in 95K, which is majorly like 70% put into HYSA, like high yield savings account, and some 20K like just an emergency. I guess I don't want to touch high yield savings account. And that comes to a total net worth of 1.45 million. That didn't include any of my wife's portfolio. I mean, she has her own 401ks, around 100K or so, but I don't want to include that. Let me just look into mine. So 1.45K, 1.45 million is what I currently have. So these are the breakdowns.
I often hear that one of the most important aspects for all of us investors to just get started, just invest. Time in the market is better than trying to time the market at the good old age. But you actually started with attacking the mortgage. So I want to ask you, if you were sitting, I don't know, in a bar and someone came up to you and said, Vinanth, I have this dilemma. Do I pay off my mortgage first, or do I get invested in the stock market? What would you tell them?
It depends on, everyone's comfort level. Okay. There is nothing wrong in getting rid of the home mortgage. For me, right, as an immigrant, once I got rid of the home mortgage, once I become debt free in the sense, without mortgage, without car loans, without everything, my inside thinking exploded. I got a little bit of extrovert. I got a little bit brave. I got like, let's take some risk, leave this job and go for another job, find another job. Those mindset, right? You can say, hey, you can have it even with the mortgage, but In reality, it will never happen. In reality, if you only see in real life you do this, then your mind will change. That's what failure is, the stepping stone of every success. Similarly, like your grass will look different when you get rid of all the mortgage, when you become debt free. So that's what happened to me. As a guy who is in West Coast or high cost of living areas, they can't even imagine going for mortgage reduction like this for them. And also guys who are in buying mortgages now at 7% interest rate, I will not encourage them to reduce their mortgage. As long as their home price is low, just keep it as it is, because 7% and all, like you will not be able to do it. And also with 1 million or 2 million homes, you will be a house poor. That's as simple as it is. So that's where it gave me an opportunity where my cost of home is low, so let me finish it off. And also, like, because of that, I gained a lot of confidence. That there is nothing wrong in finishing the home mortgage and investing later, because in any way, right, my principal and interest is now saving. It's also going towards the stock market. If I do it now or 1 year before, that amount is not going to come up. Okay, so I'm now going to put another $1,000 or $2,000 extra into my portfolio. That snowball effect will come up, like Dave Ramsey, and right, that there's snowball things and all these things. That thing will come up. So that is where, because of my past experience, hard as how my dad think, that mindset also came into me. But I would say to anyone that there's nothing wrong in going in any direction, as long as you're not losing money, like Warren Buffett says, don't lose money. That's your goal. And then immediately once you finish off a home mortgage, what are you going to do with that money? A guy who's having a mindset of finishing the mortgage is not going to go and spend that money outside, okay, because he knows how hard it is. So he will surely go and invest that money. There's nothing wrong. Or if the guy is like wanting to invest a lot, no worries there as well. There's nothing right or wrong path. It's just whatever your mindset is, as long as your mindset is saying savings, that's enough.
I love the Warren Buffett mention. Rule number 1, don't lose money. And rule number 2, follow rule number 1. Yeah. One of his best quotes. Let's get into a little bit to that investment portfolio of yours and double down on how it's actually constructed. What are the investments in there? What would you say is the percentage of growth stocks, dividend stocks? What type of stocks are in there?
First thing is that I put the full amount on my 401ks. And in the 401k, you always know it's all about whatever the stock that they are going to give. There is brokerage accounts are there. But for me, everything is like ETFs in my 401k, either large cap or smaller medium cap. And I put the entire $2,500 onto the 401k for the year limit. Whatever it is there, I'll just allocate it and I will do that. Because I have ETFs there, mostly growth, because 401k, you're not going to take it anytime now. So after 60s or 65s, there's no use of dividends or anything. However you want to take it, not a problem. So I'll just put it in the ETF. Little bit of bond and a little bit of money market, but not too much, around 10%. Remaining 90%, I'll be like fully invested in stock, large cap and medium to small cap. So these are the only two things. Coming to HSA, many people will say like HSA, it's a small amount, but I have around 50K there in HSA. So my one thing is that in HSA also, I'll play the same part because I have Lively account, which is an HSA holder, but then I have my employer sponsored HSA as well. So anytime I shift my employer, I'll move those money to Lively and keep it consolidated. But combined together, it's like another, again, 50K or so. In that, I have around 70%, 60 to 70% in growth and 30% in dividend. Like, for example, SCHD. And other things are like S&P 500, simple. So the way that's HSA, so 50K there, and it's my only thing is that I don't want to spend that HSA amount now, because it's a triple tax benefit. Nobody is like aware of that, and also you can use that as a retirement income after 65. So even 401k doesn't give that advantage. So I fully invest there, and I never spend or take any money out of that to spend it on medical. If it has to be medical, I'll pay it off my pocket. Never take it anything from HSA. Let it grow. So, but I'll fully invest there. So that's around that, and it has grown. I put in 50K, it has grown to around 60K or something like that. So that is HSA. General investing, I have around Roth around 18K or something. I'm not be able to put because my net worth is now gone. Not net worth, my current income has gone above that my Maggie limit. So I'll not be able to do it. So then my even if I do a 401k split to Roth IRA, but my tax right now is too heavy, so I will not be able to. It's not beneficial for me to do that. But the general investing, I have it in M1. In M1, you can make a pie. Like my pie is like this: one portfolio. In that portfolio, I have staple ETFs, like Berkshire Hathaway, BGT, WOOG, things like those are the ETFs. But then I have dividend pie, which includes something like EPD, SCHDs, and stocks like Coca-Cola. I don't want to go anywhere like risky things. I would like to. I don't want to go for dividends that are like above anything above 4%. Keep it. Yes, I know there are dividends that are above 4%, 5%, but as I studied like from my book experience and everything, I see that there is a lot of things out there which is risky. So I want to keep anything below 4%, but also healthy companies like Chevron, Exxon. So I also look into the dividend aristocrats, dividend kings, all those things, right? So when I look into that, I'll just go and put the book to price to book ratio, PE ratios, and all these things, and how is their growth over the dividend growth over the year. After making all the decision, then I will go ahead and put it into these dividends. So the stocks are like, of course, stable one like JNG, and then SCHD, EPD, Exxon, Chevron, ADP. So in that dividend thing, King, you have ADP also. ADP, I went and looked into their portfolio, which is good. So ADP, things like that. Those are staple dividend where you don't have to lose your sleep. So in total, my portfolio now returns total in full portfolio around 2 to 2.5%. That includes my growth stock also. So I have right now around 50 holdings, which includes I have other pies also, like I create pies like technology and telecommunication and chip making. All these things I hold. And in the chip making, telecommunication chip making, you'll see NVIDIA, ARM, Qualcomm. You know, right? These are the players where you hold your phone, you know that this is going to explode. So who are the suppliers here? Like TSMC, all those things. You buy those growth stocks also. So in technology, you have Microsoft, Alphabet, and Apple, all these different companies. So I have those pies also. So that's how I create. I had my own pie of taking risk. I put it in Shopify, which lost around 70% of it. then, then I know enough. So, that's where your learning curve comes up, right? So around 90 stocks, now bought it down to 50. Still, I am in a positive portfolio only. I have around 150K in M1, and sorry, 200K in M1. So it's now going to grow. From now onwards, I don't have anything. I don't have a loan or anything to save. So I'll just keep on putting more. And also, I invest in India stock also, like in Indian share market. And you never know, that is growing around 20% a year. Because of populations, how fast that country is growing. Simple ETF, I know some stocks in India has exploded because that India is like Make in India program is going, and their military industry is growing rapidly up. Their HAL, Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, has exploded 150% last 1 year. So that's how the growth grows in India. So there I put in around like 60 to 70K. So, and then 60 to 70K now grown to around 100K. So the 1.45 is only in US. So I'm not going to even to that area, but that's how the mix is. Like I'm learning, strategizing, but my end goal is like, I want to come to a holding of not more than 30 to 40K, for 40 holdings. Sure. Make my life simple, not to lose my sleep, and make sure that these are the companies. And then visit after a year or 6 months to reevaluate and see what you wanted. So that's how I want to end up.
So I now have a slew of questions because the first question I have is when you max out your 401k, because I hear this one all the time, right? Just go to that, say, 3% company match. Then from there, take your money, put it into, say, a Roth or, just a traditional IRA. What was it like once you literally maxed out that 401k? Did you feel the pinch from your paycheck? Did it really create some type of, I want to say, commotion in your, day-to-day life?
I didn't go all the way. I was like, I first started with matching, like, okay, if I have to match 6%, I will get 3%. If I go anywhere less, I may not be getting any employer match. So I started that. But then I was like, okay, now it's 9%. So why not we square it off to 10%? So I increased to 7%. Then when you go to Fidelity, right? When you put your age, they will recommend 1%. Like if now it will recommend a percentage where I can't even meet it. That's a different stage. But they will took 1%. So what I did is like, okay, now it's 10%. Why not we increase it by 12%? So slowly and steadily, I was increasing one by one and didn't feel the pinch. Now I'm like, in a stage where my income level is in a stage where even if I put 10% or so, I would complete the year allocation. So that's when I felt like now it's not a pain. So I would say like for people who are starting, go step by step. Maybe after every 3 months or 4 months, you're comfortable, just increase 1%, not too much, just 1%, and then slowly increase it. So you will reach the goal in a year or so, and you won't feel the pain. That's how I did it.
Step by step is always the best approach, I feel. However, there's always this notion of needing to combat lifestyle inflation. So I want to get your take on that. How do you recommend people live below their means? I think it's safe to say Americans love to spend far too much and live way above our means. So what's your take on that? And how would you recommend everybody go about really saving and understanding what their means even are?
Yeah, see, the thing that I saw is the majority of the population is in that stage. Okay. Forget about ethnicity or where they come from. Even some of my friends are like, I don't have this habit. My habit is like live now, enjoy life, and die. That's it. But it is hard. It is for me, if you ask me, it's not simple. It's a conscious decision that you have to make. And the amount of student debts we have and the way it's going to grow, and think about it. Now you are seeing 200K student debts nowadays. Okay, I am in this stage now because my parent gave me a good education. They paid for my education. I have to be thankful for that. But what about your kid? You have to think about it. And I am now growing because my dad is well established. He worked hard and he is having a good portfolio now. He never asked me for any money because he can take care of himself. What if you are not able to save it now, and if it depends on your kid, how will be your child's life in the future with all the student loan and everything? I do save 529 as well. I didn't say that, but because my kid is around 4 years now, but I save around 20K there in my 529. But that is where, if you see the future, right? If you see where you come from, where this thing, you will have to. That's what I'm saying. 2 minutes, all these thoughts will come out when you spend 2 minutes looking at your salary when it comes in. Because if you spend quite calmly and everything, all these thoughts will just flash in your mind. I'm speaking now, it may take a minute or two, but when you think about it, quiet and calm, it's just 1 minute time. That's it. It'll all come to a point and you will settle down. So that's where it took some time. It took some time for me to get here. There's a lot of sacrifice. Like I never go for a lot of vacations. My friends used to go for gala vacation, a lot of Instagram pictures, a lot of this thing, a lot of that thing, flashy things. Even I too, now I'm living a comfortable life. I never go I don't want to live where I don't want to get a Starbucks coffee. Not a life like that. I'm now fortunate enough, my salary is good enough. My wife is also earning, I'm also earning. I would like to, at this stage, right? Because I reached this stage, I'd like to splurge a little bit. but not to the level where, I will not be saving it. I will save more than 50%. That is what is going on now. But even this lifestyle for now, right? People will say like, hey, you're not even enjoying. No, I have a Tesla Model X, no loan. And I have a 4,000 square feet home, no loan. All these things for the last 10 years, it took a sacrifice. My wife and myself sat together and we made a sort of conscious decision not to go on vacations, not to splurge. All these things came now. But these conscious decisions that we made, these conscious debt reductions, all these things that we made, is now we are in a situation now. We can go ahead and if we go for any vacation, no problem. Let's have a Starbucks coffee. Nothing is going to happen for our saving because I finished my debt now. What's going to happen if I spend $100 or $200? Nothing is going to be. But still, I'm going to save around $800 of what I paid for a principal interest, and I put it into investment. And my rental income, same thing. So it's all going for investments now. So that's what the first 10 years, people have to make that conscious decision. I see people going and spending in, concert, doom spending, all these things. I mean, like at the end of the day, what you're going to have after you have your shopping bag, it's all done. So your dopamine is for the next shopping bag. So that's how you got to calm down your urge. First 10 years is going to be a hard work. And after that, the life will be dream. But for that, this is how it is. You should think about your kids' education, future education and everything. That's when your kid in the future can also live like you if you don't think about it. So yeah, 10 years, just 10 years, I would ask them to think about it. That's it.
So one thing that you shared, or that I heard at least, was just sacrifice. And I think a lot of people don't have the capacity to literally sacrifice 5 to 10 years of their life for something that you have now, which is not just 1.5 million, it's actually freedom, right? You shared that sacrifice for 5 to 10 years led you ultimately now to go on all the vacations you want, if you wanted to, all the concerts you want to, if you wanted them, all the Starbucks coffees that you want, if you wanted them. When it comes to the younger generations, what would be one key piece of advice that you could share about sacrifice to help set up younger generations for success later on in their years?
Younger generation, right? I see issue is that there is a lot of distraction for them. Okay, distraction through social medias, distractions through political biases, distraction through a lot of things. I have never had that in my past experience because I read Ray Dalio's book, Principles of how a nation rise and fall. Okay, in that he even mentioned young people can be easily swayed by giving hopes. So that's the hope they have, hope of no experience, hope that comes without an experience. So even in my childhood, I was like, I'm going to build this one, I'm going to build that one, I'm going to be a Bill Gates, and I'm going to be a Steve Jobs. We can talk all those things, but materializing is not going to happen. Okay, so if you want to build that, one thing is that you can focus on donations, go to orphanage, look into that. If you do that, you will come down to the earth. You will see, for me, like when you talk about modern words like wokeism, political between democratism, I was like, back in India, people are not even having food. Some part of India doesn't have any food. Is this more important? That's how my thinking will be. So that's what my thinking is. Go and do a donation to orphanage. Look at orphanage. Go to old age. Help them once in a year. Not many times, but once in a year. Do it. You will get it. You will get the feeling like, what is the value of money? That's what. That the young generation needs to somehow get it. But then also then they will immediately acquire a skill where, do I have to go to this concert? How much it is? $3,000. I can pay it for a homage. Old people. Do I have to see a face? Not even, I can't even see the face. Even in the TV, it is very good. Okay. You can see the face. Do you have to go there, enjoy it? You can find enjoyment in many ways. Go to a small, friends party, have a dance and everything. Nothing is going wrong. Um, do you have to have that? It's all about egoism. It's all about me too. It's all about like, I also want it. Okay. If you tone down that thing, because of, I don't know which religion you are, Hinduism, religion as it is also has its own, moral things that you will go through in your life when you're in that religion. So that's what, right? You just have to have some compassion, some something like you love to give something to the world. So if you have that, I think young generations can tone down a lot of spendings. It's just the spending that is the main reason I came to your interview, because I see the trend now is going in a very, very wrong direction. And at least what I can do is what I thought. That's the main focus of me getting into your interview. Not because of like I want to I want to give away, but I see that the world as it is going is, at least in the US, as what it is going is like, it's so crazy. Because I have Indian friends in India. How are they saving? How are they developing? I can see. I don't want something bad to happen. This country, um, as it is in one of the movie, people, a sophomore used to say, "What makes America great?" And then the guy will smash her into with all the questions, with all the answers. I don't know about that movie yet, but watched the scene. This country was good. It was built on capitalism, but now the capitalism is not tamed. It's just going against all the capitalism ethics and everything. But as you, at least you yourself needs to protect from all these things. If you are not doing it in the future, right? It's not just they are going to suffer. It's I am also going to suffer. For example, if I am 10 guys are good, 90 guys are not good. What 10 guys going to happen to the from against 90 guys?
Sure.
So as you worked in the Rise and Fall of Nation by Ray Dalio, we are in Kansas. This country is in Kansas stage 3 or 4 or whatever it is
That's
on the
incredibly
falling.
powerful to really
Yeah,
think about, and just the direction, right, that we're heading in. I do want to ask you about when it comes to your portfolio, because you started off by sharing you had what 90 holdings in there at first, and then you trimmed down and trimmed down again. Now it's very similar to what I did. In 2020, I loaded the boat on a lot of positions, and that was one of my biggest mistakes. So I'm curious to get your take on why it's better, in your opinion, to have a smaller portfolio.
it's just that as you gain more experience, right? As you see, it's just the trust that you start to build on certain companies. And, it's the maturity that you will start to have it. And also, like, simpler stuff is much easy than, having complex things like 90, 100, 200. You don't even have time to look into one that is going down. Okay. So, that is the one thing. And also, like, there is, as Warren Buffett says, right, there's nothing wrong in going for a good quality. Just don't lose the money. Find a quality stocks and, be invested in that. I would even argue saying that go and find a better ETFs like VGT, QQQ, SCHD, things like that, and just put it there. Don't even look in for those who don't want to, that is where, right, investing as one beginner starts. If you say like 100 stocks, dividends, P ratio, book to value, and all these things, if you talk to them and they will be like, no, I don't want it. So for starter, right, you just invest in ETFs, low cost ETFs. Start to invest, not to worry on things like VQQQ and everything. Have a dividend stock also, and slowly you go and divert it. And then that's how I started, and I divert to Then I was like, why not ETF? Why can't we go to stocks? And then I explored to 100, 90 stocks, and then now I saw some of the stocks that I picked is like dumb. I made mistake. So let's get it down. Now I'm on 50. That includes ETFs as well. So we're around 10 ETFs or so. But 40 stocks is what I have. But everything is like quality one. Like NVIDIA, I started like much before. like 2000, but I didn't save a lot. I put something, it's now grown to a good value. But still, it's not something that I did now. I did last like 5 years before. So it didn't come immediately, but that's how you have to find the quality things just on a regular day to day. If you see if you're going to Sam's Club or say or say Costco, anything, you buy a food, it costs something. Who is producing this? Unilever, Procter and Gamble. So okay, these are the companies which are never going to die, and you are going to buy it. And if you're not going to buy it, you're going to die. Simple. And that's how simple it is. So you see everyday life, what is actually sustaining you, what is actually you're using it, phone, Google or Apple, computer, MacBook or PC. So you know which where you need to go. Just put it in that. And once you gain this exposure, right? That's when I gained Indian stock exposure also. That's where I saw there are great potential out there. Let me go ahead and invest there. Just to tell you, I mean, like I've not got into my Indian assets and everything. Okay. That would be another 3 million or so, which I'm not, because my father has done that, right? So it's an inheritance, but I'm not concentrating there. Even I'm generating income from India, it's all going to the Indian stock market. Okay. But that's what, because of my father's struggle, you see that he struggled and I'm now living free. I struggled, my kids will be living free. So, but I have to now pass this knowledge to my kid. One thing that I see for the young generation is that they don't have that financial literacy, which only, what is happening in the schools now, it's a completely different story. But as a parent, you have to, implant that skill into your kid, like make them to do work, give them money, how reward them, talk them about taxes. When you're giving, this much portion will have to go to taxes, and then start about investment for them also. So sit with them when their age is good, teach them financial literacy, teach them, and also sit with them, go through them with all the pains that you're going through. For example, layoff, everything. You have to talk to your kid. They have to understand the stress that you are going through. They have to understand. If you're not sharing anything, at least you got to sit and have your lunch or dinner with them. If you do it, then your future generation also will do.
Powerful, very powerful, and I think key, because you're right. American schooling systems are failing us in the sense that they don't teach financial education, so that falls then on parents, and I think that's key for those viewers out there perhaps interested in the global markets. What are some tidbits of insights you can give us about the Indian marketplace and where to look when it comes to investing into India?
You have Indian portfolio also, like MSCI index Indian ETFs. But people who are interested in it, because I'm an NRI, non-residential Indian, there are Indian provisions where I can open the stock market there and I can invest in there. If you are from US also, there are foreign investments that can happen in India. I'm sure, India is a country that is, yes, it is developing, it has its own quirks, but not to a level of countries like, you see in South America, or some countries which are still in terrible conditions. But I would say you can confidently do it like you do it to China. You can do it to India also. But yeah, there are ETFs for India also. And even in Bloomberg, right? When I go and see the Bloomberg, there are times in 2 months or once in a month, I always see news about Indian market. It's growing. It's actually doing a lot of stuff. Um, yes, right now it is very hot stock market. It's too much of valuation is there. But for a long time, you can invest, because if you see what is next China,
Sure.
there are only a handful of countries you can pick, like Indonesia, Philippines. But Philippines and Indonesia, do they have the population, land mass, and everything like China? No, but India has it. So what are all the countries that can grow like China? Next countries, either Brazil, Mexico, or India. So these are the countries which are going to get most benefits. So you can that's what real world experience. That's as it is. That's how I go and invest in.
This would be a phenomenal time then to recommend once again Principles by Ray Dalio. just to talk about really how countries grow and die out eventually. And talking more about macro, I'm curious now with everything going on, I mean, on the global scale with global news, to even more of the micro in the United States, inflation, CPI came out not too long ago, but hotter than expected, and we're expecting the interest rates to eventually come down. I want to know how much of macroeconomics you factor in when you invest. Do they matter at all to you, or do you just double down on investing and don't really pay attention too much to macros?
It is matter. Okay. That is where I sway to India. Okay. People say you should have emerging stock markets or, global stock market also. Why is that? It's for the same reason, you never know. Because right now, if you see US as a budget, right, we are paying 830 billion in interest, higher than military budget. Okay. So 32 trillion is a lot. It's a lot, lot of debt. People would say, yeah, we don't have to pay, all those things can come up. But at the end of the day, fundamentals come into reality. There is nothing to break that thing. Okay. Either they have to increase the taxes, which will slow down the economy, or they have to increase the interest. You can see the rate of interest right now. Nobody is able to buy home. Nobody is going to sell home. It is people who bought the home at a lower interest rate, they don't want to sell it. It's what the stagnant things are. If you see the stock market, 2021, whatever is that level, 4,900 or something, S&P 500. Now it's 5,200. So at that time when they released $7 trillion, every economist said like it's going to be flat. And it is flat. It's only raised by 200 from 2021 to now. There are companies which gone up, but overall the market was 4,800 to 5,400, just 200, between 200 to 300 for 2 years. So if you see for 2 years or 3 years. So yes, you have to look into macro. Right now, the situation, that point of tip came into a time where, you have to start looking macroeconomy. You have to, there is, at the end of the day, you have to try your best. Then leave the rest to God. Okay. We don't know what's going to happen, but you have to try your best, but you need to look into the macroeconomy. You came into that point. There are a lot of Indian articles I read, Indian economical article I read, which they easily say if you see US 1980s, 1990s, the entire share of US market for the world is like 40 or something. Now it's 20 or 27 because other countries are also developing. Okay. So looking into the depth, looking into the how far people are biased, politically biased, and I'd like to myself be a centrist, not to be on both sides. I would like to support what is good on this side. I'll also like to support what is good on this side. I don't want to have a divide, but the divide now is horrible. It's too much. So there is a divide in everything, men, women, um, you know, political bias, all these things. There is a division. So it's not. It is. It is like we have to see all those things: political bias, education system, national debt, interest rate, inflations, all these things. If you come up, you'll get a picture. That's what to get that 10 years. I said you have to invest to get that knowledge, real world experience, hands-on experience. You can call it like you have to do it. It's not going to come up. It's not going to come.
Get skin in the game is what I heard. Overall, from this chat, I mean, what I'm sitting here thinking about right now is this overarching message of it takes sacrifice, it takes trialing and erring and learning as you go, but don't stop, keep going, and really figure yourself out as an investor, but more so as a person living in this world to as you shared, right? Go and volunteer, go give your time, go to an orphanage, go to an assisted living facility to really take away deep appreciation of life itself and to learn how valuable not necessarily money is, but time, and how you can appreciate and value that time. I have one last question for you, Vinanth. I'm excited to ask you this question because I'm curious to see if you'll invest some money in India or if it's going to be in the States. But if I were to give you, Vinanth, $10,000 right now to invest in any individual stock, which stock, or you can go ETF here as well, which stock or ETF would you invest that 10K into and why?
Just one, right?
Just one.
Okay. I would still invest into QQQ right now because the reason is that for my age, I can still see growth. And at the same time, if I put everything in VGT, which is technology focused, or QQQM or something that I don't want, because I want not only to focus on NASDAQ. QQQ is like going to focus on technology also, like companies like PepsiCo, things like that. So who are also going to give some dividend. Okay. So that's a good mixture of fund where growth is also there. You get a little bit of dividend also, like 10K. If you have it, you will, I will go ahead and do that. But as I said, right, I'll put 10K into my M1 and M1 will automatically split it for everything. So right now I have that strategy. But still, if you ask me, one ETF that I will put it now to QQQ. As simple as
10K
it.
into QQQ. Investors, you heard it from Vernanth himself about his journey from literally zero as he moved to the United States to 1.5 million in about 10 years. A lot of sacrifice, a lot of knowledge. I want to thank you, Vernanth, for joining me on Masters of the Market. And investors, until the next episode, we will see you all there.